I was being stalked by my ex-boyfriend until one day it hit a breaking point and he broke into my house. Luckily, the only person that was there for me saved my life. It was my dog. This is kind of a complicated story, but I'll just get right into it. I used to be this controlling, kind of abusive relationship. When I finally broke it off a year ago, my ex started showing up places, trying to get me to take him back. Eventually, it developed into full-on stalking. He would show up at my work and took just waiting outside of it after he was banned, leaving notes on my car when I was at the grocery store, leaving all kinds of flowers outside my house, and then stick angry notes on my door after he saw me throw them in the trash. Wrote me all kinds of weird, obsessive emails and letters. I've had to change my phone number 3 times. The behavior escalated over time and got scarier and more threatening. In one instance, he started a small fire in my driveway, but the police could not get enough evidence connecting him to it. It was after that instance that I put cameras in my yard. I was horrified to learn that the police could not do shit about any of this until my stalker actually caught doing something illegal, like breaking into my house. At which point, I might have already been dead. I decided I wasn't spending the rest of my life waiting for the other shoe to drop. So I got a handgun and a concealed carry permit and took some self-defense courses, and started doing strength training. I also looked into getting an attack dog, but after all the money I'd sunk into other methods of protection, they were prohibitively expensive. So I went to my local animal shelter and got the scariest, meanest looking dog I could find. This is where Thor comes in. He's a 100-pound American bulldog and looks like he'd rip your throat on a sight, but is basically a gigantic teddy bear. He loves every person he's ever met, is incredibly sweet and gentle with my 4-year-old niece, enjoys other animals, and even loves the mailman. I just kind of accepted that he probably wouldn't do anything to protect me from my stalker. But it did not matter that much because having such a dog made me so much more confident. I brought Thor everywhere I could and was working on getting him trained enough to be an emotional support animal, so I could bring him inside places with me. I absolutely would not do this until he was trained well enough to not disrupt the regular service dog. Last month, I woke up in the middle of the night to Thor whining. I was groggy and thought he had to go to the bathroom, so I got out of bed, opened the door, and at that point my house alarm went off. Pretty soon after that, I was face to face with my stalker. I started screaming and went to run for my gun, but before I could do anything, Thor ran across the room in full attack mode. The memory is really blurry to me, but there was blood all over my living room, and I remembered my stalker was eventually able to escape. At which point, Thor chased him outside and then came back inside to me. When the police showed up, they said Thor was a hero and probably saved my life. I don't want to list what they found in my stalker's car after they caught him, and I'm shaking a little as I say this, but I'm sure he was going to bring something there to kill me. It looks like he was going to prison for a long time, so my nightmare was over. Pretty much everyone in my life thinks Thor is a hero, except for my sister-in-law. She and my brother have a 4-year-old, the one I mentioned above, and she says she doesn't want Thor around her child. She says since Thor has snapped in the past, he could do it again, so he's not safe around kids. We used to see each other a few times a week before she decided Thor was dangerous. The way she words this makes me really angry, because Thor did not snap. He saw a stranger breaking into the home, heard his owner scream in terror, and reacted to defend me, himself, and his house. Nothing about that screams, quote, dangerous around children to me. Unless my niece is also going to break into my house and threaten me. This is also a very emotional issue for me because Thor isn't just a dog. He's my safe place, my hero, and the one who protected me and kept me safe when no one else could. I've also gotten increasingly anxious since this happened. I can't go anywhere without Thor. I barely leave my house and pay to pick up my groceries from the store instead of going in, because I know Thor isn't allowed inside. And all my friends know that if Thor isn't welcome in their house, I'm not coming either. Although they're perfectly welcoming to come hang out at my house instead. I'm really going through it, and I'm working with a therapist to overcome this. Luckily, my office is still fully remote, but I need to be able to go back to work soon once in person. But I really needed my brother and sister-in-law's support. I think my sister-in-law thinks I'm just pouting, and that's why I won't just leave the dog home and come without him. I don't know how to explain to them that the fear hasn't stopped just because my stalker's in prison. It's actually a lot worse than it was before. I've already suggested they come over and I crate Thor, but that wasn't good enough. What can I do to make her understand the situation better? Hey guys, Mr. Reddito here. What a wild roller coaster so far. Drop in the comments down below, Thor, you are a hero. Guys, I have a full update for this one, so let's just jump right into it. If you're enjoying the video, smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe. I definitely did not expect my last post to blow up the way it did. Thank you so much to everyone who commented. I appreciate that. I got advice from all over the spectrum. From people who completely agreed with me to people who completely agreed with my sister-in-law. And people who thought both of us had a good point. It helped me see the problem is more complicated than I thought, which helped me understand that my sister-in-law wasn't being a jerk. It also helped me decide what things were and weren't fair to be angry about. I also appreciated seeing a few people comments making fun of me for needing my dog with me, and the majority of people yelling at them and saying I was acting pretty reasonable for someone who endured a violent attack. I don't want to be seen as someone delicate, and I'm glad that most people don't see me that way. Reading everyone's comments, I had this moment where I was like, yeah, they're right. I did almost get drug out of my house and murdered just a few weeks ago. Who the hell are these people to say how I should act? That felt really good, and I really appreciate it. Anyways, the conclusion I came to in all this is that while my sister-in-law is well within her rights to protect her daughter, she went about it in a way to disrespect me, both as a friend and as a victim of a very recent attack. Both my parents and her parents live locally and babysit all the time. She and my brother could have easily dropped my niece off with them and came to visit. It probably would have been a while before I even noticed my niece wasn't coming around, at which point I would have been in a better place and more understanding that she was uncomfortable with her daughter around Thor. Regardless of what some people said about my sister-in-law and brother, they don't owe me anything, and all their allegiance goes to their daughter. I simply do not feel this way. We were extremely close before this happened. I was always there for them and would literally drop plans to babysit my niece if my brother and sister-in-law needed a night to themselves. The very least they could have done for me after I was almost kidnapped and murdered is try to find some compromise. We went from seeing each other 3 times a week to pretty much not seeing each other at all. Even though they weren't okay with me crating the dog, they could have easily dropped their daughter off with Grandma and Grandpa for a few hours, so I wouldn't feel completely isolated. I also have a yard, so they could have come over with her and we could have all hung out outside while Thor stayed inside. I've been upset about this for a while, but wasn't sure if I was right to be upset until so many people echoed that sentiment. So I appreciate it. I invited my brother and sister-in-law over, and tried to lay this out without being confrontational or acting like a jerk. To my surprise, my brother and sister-in-law had no real understanding that I've been having a difficult time. They thought I was basically fine and everything in my life was more or less back to normal, now that my stalker was caught. I did not get into any of my previous posts, but during the year that I was stalked, I worked really hard to not show my outward signs of fear. I even made jokes about having a stalker. I knew people would not want to hang out with someone who was constantly going on and on about some bad things that were going on in their life. And I did not want to be, quote, that person who was perpetually in crisis. And more than that, I just did not want to always be thinking and talking about having a stalker. I wanted to not think about it as much as possible, so I guess I might have come off as unaffected by the whole thing. I'm not sure if I totally buy that they did not know I was going through something traumatic and that it was taking a huge toll on my mental state. I mean, I got a gun and paid for tactical training. I bought a full home security system. I got active in self-defense classes and strength training, things that I previously had no interest in. Even if I wasn't walking around telling everyone how scared I was, I think anyone would have been able to tell. Plus, who just brushes off having their house broken into in the middle of the night? It seems crazy, and they don't seem so emotionally unintelligent that they'd think that. But both my brother and sister-in-law did apologize for being insensitive. And when I pressed my sister-in-law on why crating the dog isn't good enough, she eventually relented and said that it would be fine. It probably helped the entire time that they were over. Thor was asleep and loudly snoring in his crate. The paranoid part of me is convinced that they just want to deal with me in a fragile state. Made up an excuse about my dog and are now just going to come up with some other excuse about why they can't see me. I've invited them over for dinner in a few days, and they're coming, so I guess I'll just have to see from there. I can't stress enough that these used to be my best friends, and I'm heartbroken to have not their support. I've been trying to rely on my friends more now, and thankfully they've all been really supportive. I'm really lucky that this happened during the pandemic because nobody's getting frustrated with me that I've basically refused to leave the house. They're all perfectly happy to pick up takeout and come over and watch TV for the 5th night in a row. But in other news, yesterday I left my dog at home and drove around my block. Alone. I was shaking the whole time, but I did it. I keep trying to remind myself that I spent a whole year fighting back, even though I was utterly terrified. I can't just lay down and die now that I'm so close to getting my life back. Well, to be honest, guys, I can kind of see why this mother was so concerned about the aggressive dog, but I can definitely see from OP's perspective, hey, this dog's not aggressive. It was literally saving my life. So let me know in the comment section down below who actually was right, or did they both make equal points? Let me know your thoughts on this story, and let's read a couple comments. Comment 1 says, "This also is not some daily normal type life stuff. This is some seriously traumatic stuff that happened. This will take time for you to deal with, and take the time and keep giving yourself, your dog, and your family the attention you need." Comment 2 says, "Yes, OP, give Thor extra pets for me." Guys, let me know in the comment section down below, did OP make the right decision or not? We're going to go ahead and check out our next story, which also comes complete with an update. Wife had been flirting with her coworker. She said she would stop it, but it happened again. Is there any future in this relationship? Guys, I'm not kidding. This one gets super juicy. Let's jump right into it. My wife and I have been married for slightly more than 3 years now. Last Christmas, I found she's been having a long conversation with a coworker of hers, in which they talked about having had sex multiple times, and that they could not wait for the next one. The guy said he was going to book a hotel near their office right after Christmas. In this conversation, when he said he was looking forward to seeing my wife, she would reply with things like, quote, "I'm looking forward to much more than just seeing you." You get the idea. Overly flirty and sexual. When I confronted my wife, she denied the conversation existed. After deleting it, she showed me her phone to prove it did not exist. But I've taken a few pictures. She then said it was all virtual and that they never did anything physical. To prove she was right, she messaged her coworker in front of me, asking if he's booked the hotel, and he replied not yet. She then asked if he was really expecting them to meet, to which he replied negatively. She promised they would never talk again, and I agreed. simply because I love her a lot and want to trust her. But in my mind, I wasn't completely sure she's being honest. For a few weeks, I must admit, I checked her phone a few too many times. So she changed her password, which I was fine with because I was probably being super paranoid. This week, I picked her phone up because I needed a code that's been sent to her phone number. I didn't even need the unlock screen to get it. To my surprise, under the message with the code, there were other messages from the same guy. One of them was an audio message, and the second was a shirtless photo of himself in front of the mirror. And of course, the caption said sweaty, and a few tongue emojis. I confronted her since she had promised that they were not going to talk again, and she said he just wanted to show her he's going to the gym to show progress. But that the rest of the times they talk, it's just about work, and that this is just a coincidence. I asked her to show me the rest of the messages, but she said she had mistakenly deleted the conversation. My wife says she's going to change this time, and that I never really forgave her, and that's why she kept talking to the guy. She says this time she's really going to stop, but I have a hard time believing it. Or, even if she does stop, I fear when things don't go so well between us, she'll just do it again. I really love her, but I can't keep living like this. Is there any situation in which this can work? What would you do? Okay guys, Mr. Reddito here. Man, that was an intense one. There's still a small update for this story, but I need you guys to drop in the comment section down below. If you were OP, would you stay with her, or would you say, that's too many red flags, I'm done? Alright, let's see what's up with this update. After reading every single comment on the post, my brain just could not overcome the catastrophe and the collapse of the world I've built for me, in which my wife is my lover, my best friend and partner, as well as the person I admired the most in the world. She was entirely perfect and made me happy for so many years. I thought no couple in the world could have what we had. We were both very happy for a long time. We were both attractive. We were both inherently good, had big hearts, and were individually wildly successful in our career niche. After the post, I moved to an Airbnb, and eventually with my family to think things through. It was a terrible time, but a psychologist helped me recover from a terrible mental state. It coincided with the pandemic hitting very hard in my city, and I caught the virus, which did not help. During this time, we kept talking, and my wife was very sorry and continued saying that they had not met. I knew it wasn't true, but was willing to forgive the women of my dreams, who continued being in the highest altar of my universe. Fast forward last Saturday morning, I went back to our place, ready to forgive her and talk things through in the most mature way possible. And well, there she was. But I was the one who received the biggest surprise, to say the least. The guy was in my house naked, and so was my wife. The guy from the messages, the guy from the pictures, the one she said she did not even like. I caught him hiding in the bathroom as my wife was putting her pajamas on. When I saw him hiding in my bathroom, he uttered, "Sorry, dude." For a second, I asked myself, should I kill him? But I instantly replied, I got nothing against you, bro. Because the guy was just nailing this hot woman. Even if he was doing it so in a house full of pictures of me. Pictures of our wedding and our families. Pictures of my dead father, who would be so sad to see how the marriage he never witnessed was going to end. He has always been the reason I try to make the world a better place. He passed away 2 months before our wedding. I'm sorry. I still love her to death. But I understand enough is enough. Even if my world collapses, I hope I can build a new one without lies, and in which I'm not just a blind believer under an altar of a fake god. Godspeed. This is a horribly toxic situation that OP's in. There was so many red flags to this story. Let's go ahead and read a couple comments about this, and then you can drop your thoughts about these comments down below, and we'll talk about it on the video. Godspeed, man. Your wife will never be sorry for what she did, But she'll keep saying she's sorry dozens, probably hundreds of times, just to try to keep her word from crashing down. But you'll be manipulated no more. Do not leave your marital home under any circumstance. Find a good lawyer and start filing divorce. You'll come out this a better man. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Comment 2 was short. It said, she's not sorry she did it. She's sorry that she got caught. And last comment says, at the moment, yeah, but it will hit her like a truck when she realizes how she hurt OP and threw away the marriage. Okay guys, that's all the stories I have for you today. Let me know about this situation. What should OP do? Divorce? Let me know in the comment section. Have a wonderful day, and remember, it's so cool to be kind. Hey, what's up guys? A quick little interruption that's completely off from this video, but I noticed a lot of comments down below about the Pokemon collection behind me. I'm actually starting a Pokemon channel. I have a few videos up already. The next video, I'll be opening a vintage Pokemon pack from 1999. It's a Jungle Booster First Edition. Here it is right here. So if that's something that interests you, I'm going to put the channel name in the description below. So go check it out, and you guys have a wonderful day.